images, generally accepted positive image, and you will find it even in advertisement for securities or what else. And kite flying is an international accepted pastime in sports. But there are obviously some kind of regional differences. Maybe of climate, you won't find kiting in Greenland, and you won't find kiting in Iceland. And you won't find kiting in Black Africa, with some exceptions. In South Africa, there is a little bit kite flying, but it's formally from European or Asian descent. But generally, Black Africa has more or less no kite flying. Sometimes there are political reasons for flying kites. I've seen in the museum the Kite Runner in several books. So in the Taliban Afghanistan, kite flying was forbidden for religious purposes. And sometimes there are economic reasons for not flying kites or not more flying kites. Think about the Soviet Union and the downfall of the Soviet Union. The kiting came down. There was from the big famine in 1990 till 1996, there was nothing that had to do with kiting. It's now recovering a little bit, and you find small kite festivals, but most of these kite festivals are not any longer funded of political parties or youth groups of political parties and so on, because the state is, if there's no funding, we have the problem of funding. And for sports, for international events, we have a problem. Kite and kiting in different regions of the world has a different meaning, and different groups are working on these kites. And our British companion just was talking about it. A kite and kite fighting is different from the other kind of kiting in the European context or the Japanese context. And so even in Southeast Asia, you have big differences, even with kite fighting. Think about kite fighting in India, cutting lines, and think about kite fighting in Japan with just kicking only the kite out of the air. It's totally different. The problem with making kiting some kind of international sports is that there is kind of lack of standardization. Only if you can find some kind of means of standardizing kiting, you can make it a big event for the globe. So the only kiting, form of kiting that has found its way into the Olympic Games is kite surfing, because it's highly regulated. Other kinds of kiting are not part of any kind of major sporting events. There was some kind of exceptions in the late 60s in the Asian Games. I remember a kite stand from Thailand, and even in that time, kite fighting was some kind of part of the Asian Games. But nowadays, there isn't. With one exception. You have heard about the Olympic Summer Games, and you have heard about the Olympic Winter Games. But most of you haven't heard about the Treks Games. It's about the traditional sporting kinds of all over the world. Think of wrestling only the Greek style or the Mongolian style. When you have the Summer Olympics, it's only the Greek style. So there is also some kind of Olympic sports that's called Treks Games. And within the Treks Games, they try to establish some kind of kiting events. But they also have the problem of funding, this is one, and the second one was you couldn't find a mean of standardizing kiting. That's a problem. So there are other kinds of problems. My British friend already told us it's the black future of smartphone unless you do not develop some kind of app that brings children to look for some kind of kites hidden under gravestones or what else. You won't find, you have difficulties in getting younger ones into the kiting scene. What is the future of kite flying? The idea of the future of kite flying is not to preserve the ashes, but to hand over the fire. How to do it? One is kite museums. You did a good job here in Istanbul, I've seen it. And to hand over the fires to teach children how to fly kites. It's quite a good idea to teach children to fly kites and to make kites. I think you're on a good way, but I think it should not be only the children, it should be the teachers and the multipliers that you have to teach to make kiting an accepted kind of pastime and sports all over the world. Another thing is about the funding. I've seen a lot of funding in Southeast Asia, especially in China. It's generally accepted that most big kite festivals are somehow government or government agency funded. I think Liu Jiping told you a little bit about it. In modern times, you will always have some kind of public-private partnership. It's also done in China, and it's not done in Japan. Japan has lots of private organized or organized kite festivals, more or less private, but they have different kite culture in Japan. The kiting in Japan is also different. Kiting is not an individual sport. It's nearly always in the world it's an individual sport, but in Japan, kiting is some kind of community sport. So the kite culture is quite different. What about kite museums? You were always talking about kite museums. So far in Germany we have no kite museum, or not anymore, because the last one ran bankrupt about 10 years ago. We only have a small private collection. I also have a private collection, and if you come to Berlin, I may invite you to look at my kites. And there is some kind of more technically oriented kite collection in the German National Museum located in Munich. But that's all. All over the world, I've seen no Japanese one. Japan has a lot of kite museums, quite a lot. You should focus on Japan. And most of those ones are, some of them are privately organized, and some of them are more or less community organized. I think the largest kite festival, kite museum, is not the one in Weifang. I think it's in the one in Chirone, and maybe it's as big as the one in Weifang, or even bigger. But I think it's quite nice funded. You need some kind of official funding, otherwise over the years you will lose. But even if it's funded, officially funded, you may run bankrupt in the course of privatizing all those kinds of institutions. I know about a kite museum in Goya. It was a very nice one. They had a building, and then they had a city council that gave money to it, but then suddenly the leadership changed and it fell into more or less disgrace, and now there isn't any kite museum more. So
the economical aspect is also important. And I will ask your permission if you finished your speech.
yeah, I finished.
Okay. Thank you very much for this speech was very useful for us. Thank you very much. And I will ask Sim Serak.